Hello and welcome to this short video where today we're going to have a look at how you can use DBmarlin to help analyze your database performance when you're doing load testing. I'm going to be using JMeter to generate some database load. Obviously you can use your preferred tool. So in my JMeter test, what I have set up here is a thread pool which is going to connect to a SQL Server 2019 instance. We're going to run for a duration of 4 minutes with a 60-second ramp up, getting up to 30 virtual users. And what we can see here, we've just scanned through some of these statements, is that we've got a variety of different statements. We have some select statements across various tables. We also have some insert statements and some delete statements in here, just to give a nice balanced mix. So we can see here's the first load test that was already ran, and what I've done is I've used the save snapshots filter within DBmarlin. So save snapshots allow you to give a name and a description, and optionally keep the data for a time period of interest. So having done that, you can see now I can choose that from a drop-down list. I can pick my load test 1 with 30 virtual users, and by selecting that, I've now got my load test data at the 1 second granularity. You can see the ramp up there, and that's the complete test. And then we can start to analyze our top statements, any kind of wait events that the database is waiting on, and so on. So if we look at our top statements now, we can see the top statement here is this update statement, which has an average response time of 4 seconds. So if we click into that, you can see the statement comes from a batch. So if we have a look at the batch, we can then click into the batch to see the execution plan. So the execution plan gives us the steps that the SQL Server optimizer has to perform to execute this statement. And what we also have, if you look at the text here in green at the top, is a missing index suggestion. So SQL Server is actually recommending that we add an index in this case. So I'm going to try adding this index, and then let's see what the impact of that is in our next load test. So I'm just going to create the index that was suggested here. You can see that's now being done. Having run that. So if we go back to the instance level, change our time range, let's look at the last hour. So here we can see the load test again, and in a second we'll see the change marker that was added just here, and that was actually the index creation for the index that we just added there. So DBmarlin is keeping track of any schema changes that you make, and then you can see what the impact was on the performance. So let's go back to JMeter. We're going to kick off another test, having added that index, and let that run. So you can see it's running again now. Same number of virtual users. So we'll just let that run for a while, and then we'll come back and we'll save another snapshot and show how you can then compare that. So here's our completed load test. We can see our update statement is no longer the number 1 statement. It's actually dropped down to number 3 in the list, and its average response time is now 3 seconds rather than 4 seconds. Its weighted percentage is actually less than it was previously. So adding the index has made a positive benefit to our update statement in this case. What I'm going to do now is use our save snapshot feature again. So I'm going to name this as load test 2. Give it a description here. Just find my index name, copy the index name. That was the index that I have added. So putting the description here then lets me compare it back. And I'm going to save the data again. That means the data doesn't get archived or purged, so we can reference back to this even several months down the line or even years down the line. We'll have this data until we choose to delete it. So now you can see we've got 2 different saved periods that we can actually choose between. So we can look at load test 2, we can look at load test 1. And where this becomes really useful is if we then plug these into the time comparison report. So rather than selecting the periods manually, you can actually just pick those two different load tests here. Obviously need to select the instance as well, SQL Server 2019 in this case. And now I can generate my report. And this gives me a side-by-side comparison of those two snapshots. So we can see that while the database time is roughly the same, the actual number of executions increased here. We're now doing over 9,000 executions compared to 7,000 previously. So same amount of time, we're getting more throughput as a result of that index change there. And we can see the individual effect on different statements within the test here. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and if you like this, subscribe to the channel and we'll be releasing more videos very shortly. Thank you for listening and see you next time.